Hello tanks and tankettes, welcome to one of my own games, and this is a relative rarity at the moment, my own World of Tanks gameplay, but as I've said in previous videos, I'm just playing it less, although I haven't stopped playing it entirely, as you can see. This is an 8.12 game, this is in the brand new patch, and it's in a brand new HD tank, and I don't have any mods installed at this point, so this is basically just going to be vanilla World of Tanks. I know, like some kind of peasant, hey? But we'll cope somehow. Anyway, this is Klingensberg. He's one of my Patreon supporters, and he'd wanted to play tanks for the evening, so here we were. He also needed cash, so he picked out the Panther 8.8, the Tier 8 Premium German Medium, and I picked out my good old trusty reliable T34, which, as I've said, has had a new coat of pixels to go on top of, you know, the existing pixels. I didn't really think that phrase through in my head, did I? Anyway, it has actually had a buff. Now it's been all HD modelled. The turret armour is even better than before. It's gone at the front from 178 to part of it's 223, and I think the rest of it's just over 200 mil. So the turret front, the cheeks, the mantlet, they're all tougher than before. I mean, the mantlet itself hasn't changed in terms of thickness, but the armour behind it and around the edges of it is thicker, so the effective thickness has gone up. Possibly more importantly is the fact that the side armour has gone from 76mm at the front and 51mm at the rear half to being a uniform 76mm, and that is fantastic. That means that you can carefully side scrape now, as long as you're not pushing out too far, whereas previously with the rear half of your side armour being 51mm, there are loads of guns at tier 8s that can overmatch that, so trying to side scrape in your T34 was never a good idea up until now. But yeah, these days, as long as you're careful about what you're side scraping against, you can do it. So this is pretty good matchmaking, as you can see. This was by far the best game we had this evening. It was a bit of a mixed bag otherwise, but the recipe was all here. The map is good for this tank. We're top tier, we're very top tier, and there's no artillery, so this is as good as it gets. Although, as you'll see, the majority of our teammates were conspiring to make things more difficult than they would at first appear. So even if everything is, you know, just about as good as it can be with the map that you get and the matchmaking you have, you still can't account for your teammates' actions sometimes. A lot of them have gone over to the little peninsula, and that includes most of our other top tiers. We've got some tier 6s in the middle, and as you can see, there's actually some enemies pushing up. I have looked at the minimap and seen that the T32 and the VKA are on the other side, and yes, I'm still at my parents', by the way, so if you can hear dogs scratching and clattering in the background, that's why. So I've decided to be quite aggressive here. I did figure that the Rheinmetall was probably here, but I've tried to make an approach on this Super Pershing, who is alone. He's isolated, so he's a good target to pick on, to bully. I thought I could probably do it safely, and although the Rheinmetall was able to shoot me, it bounced. Now this right here, this is why I think the T34 isn't the most popular premium. I think it's a really nicely, solidly reliable premium, but the gun handling is a bit, yeah, Russian. It's a bit Soviet. However, having said that, it at least has reasonable accuracy. It's what, 0.36, 0.37, something like that. So, unlike those derpy handling Russian guns, with this, at least once you've actually aimed, you've got a reasonable chance of your shell going where you want it to. It's just the aim time is kind of bad, and the bloom is kind of bad. So that sneaky Sture Emil almost got a shot into me, but fortunately for me, he missed. Now I don't want to go too far up here. I know the Rheinmetall's there, but otherwise it's just an OI, and there's a KV-13 slightly further back. And well, the peninsula's just about collapsed already. We've got an FCM that's pulled back. The tier 6s that were in the middle are dead already. So this is, yeah, I mean, we had a bunch of tanks on the other side. It's not like we were disproportionately overrepresented on this flank, but the 3 tanks that were here were all tier 8s. So if there'd been a couple more on the other side, I don't know. But you can never quite tell what an enemy team is going to do until they do it, and by the time they had all appeared on the other flank. That's their IS-3, their VKA, their T34. I mean, the remodels over here, but that is most of their top tiers. So we can't just, you know, rush back necessarily. The type's obviously reasonably fast, and I think the Panther 88 is not too bad, but T34 is not the fastest machine in the world. So the FCM's gone down. There is now... oh no, he's still alive. The E25's there as well. Okay. But he's not going to last too much longer. He's in an FCM and it's quite squashy. So I take a derp hit in the mantlet, I think, from the OI, which does not a lot. That's the thickness of this thing. And I'm staying fully hull down here. This is... if they had... I mean, I had support from the back from Klingensberg and that Type 59. If they had been in a position to rush me, I actually turned back thinking that the Sturra Emil would pop up behind me, and of course he didn't. He was much further down. The KV-13 dropped into the middle as well. So the enemies here, I mean, I was in a strong position here in a T-34, and this shot, not even fully aimed. I was pretty lucky that one actually went in. They were not coordinating. They were particularly uncoordinated. So even though I was in a strong position in this tank, they just were in a position to be picked off one by one, essentially. So this is the point where we go back and defend, and we can also see from the mini-map, much to our benefit, the IS-3 on their team is going back to defend. I think he assumed that all three of us, or at least the two mediums, would try and rush down to their cap, but given that their teammates were already pretty much on our cap, and the 50T actually, now he's gone down, we actually have to go back. Like, if we had tried to rush to their base to cap, we could not have done it fast enough. They would have outcapped us. So the IS-3 made a really bad call there. He made a judgment that we were going to go back, and was pretty wrong in that judgment, and that is by far their strongest tank left. So this is a very, very welcome bit of news. Now the Type 59's managed to reset, which is good. The VKA and that A44 are together. The OI, the other OI that's on the enemy team, is also there. So if he can just hold them at bay, that's fine. The T-32 ploughed forward, I think, in the hopes of taking out Klingensberg, but of course I pulled into view at just the right time. So Klingensberg's on low health, and I have taken a hit myself from the IS-3 in the process, but we're still alive and our guns are still working. And crucially, that IS-3 is all the way down south. Even if he drives back as fast as he can, we now outnumber these enemies in the north. So even though it looked like it was really very badly against us, the fact that ourselves and this Type 59 were top tier, the fact that their strongest unit went back, you know, this all played into our hands very nicely indeed. If there'd been artillery in play, at least one of us would have probably had to go and kill the artillery. That would have changed things drastically, but as it was, that meant we could just move around and maneuver without that fear, without that inhibition. So the VKA is down, and yeah, I just bounced a shot off the back of the OI somehow. The Type 59 goes a bit too ham, a little bit too ham. Yeah, no, that was nearly 500 of your own hit points. That was not a good idea. He did play very well otherwise, and then at that moment just, I don't know, decided that ramming, I don't even know what weight the OI is, but it's heavy, and even though it was a ram in the side, that could have killed him potentially. You know, that was nearly 500 of his own health, and he didn't have that much of it to begin with. So anyway, so at this point I said, you know, let's travel down on the far side of the tracks maybe, but I get spotted, and I think I was going to type something in the chat here, which is why I ground to a halt. But I know that IS-3 spotted me, so he's come up to us. He did actually drive all the way up here. So, I mean, that's fine. That means we don't have to drive down to their cap to try and root him out. And it simplifies things. Now, the situation is, both the Type and the Panther 88 are quite low health. They're both easy one-shots for an IS-3. On the other hand, I can take at least 2 hits unless I get absurdly unlucky and get ammo racked. So my plan is just to sit in front of the guy, let him shoot me, spend my hit points. And when we talk about spending hit points, you know, this is exactly the kind of thing we mean, the kind of considered tactical, you know, I'm going to let him shoot me on the face in purpose kind of situation. So he's shot me once, and that means these medium tanks are both free to shoot him, and I can absorb the hit, so they can both stay in cover, pop out, shoot. I can stay here, get this guy's undivided attention, get another shot in myself, and he is now an easy one-shot kill. Although I pull back just in case they can't kill him, because then I could potentially side scrape off the house. But didn't need to, because they did get the kill, and that was fine. So this was my very first game, I think, or maybe it was the second game, in the HD T34. It did not disappoint. It was the equivalent XP-wise of an Ace Mastery, if I hadn't already aced it a very, very long time ago. And as you can see, the Type 59 did pretty well, over 4,000 damage, 3 kills, 1,300 base XP. I got just about the same base XP with 3,500 damage and 4 kills, and Klingensberg trailing behind a little bit with 1,800 and 4 kills, but still that was enough for 1,000 base XP. He possibly had spotting assistance as well, and you may have noticed from the rest of the team list, yeah, the rest of the team didn't do quite so well. But, I mean, between us, we killed the vast majority of the enemy team. That was what, like 70% of the enemy team between the 3 tanks, and yes, we were all top tier, but that was one of those games where you're feeling quite pessimistic about it as it's developing, and then you just keep hanging on by your fingernails somehow, and it works out. And most of the time those kind of games don't work out, unfortunately, but I suppose that makes the ones where you do manage to somehow triumph despite the odds feel all the more sweeter, and that was definitely the case in this one, especially considering some of the other games we'd had during the evening. So there we go, a bit of HD T34 action. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but like I've said, I find it a fairly reliable machine. If you've enjoyed this replay, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.